I am probably excited today because I have Tabitha here, as I always say. So I'm looking forward to having her here in this conversation. She will be our last speaker that we are interviewing before the retreat. That is a retreat speaker. And so I'm excited to kind of close all this out because registration ends on Friday. So we're going to hear a little bit more about a subject we've not talked about yet, but I've been waiting to talk about. And that is bringing to my mind what that is a counselor, and I'll let her introduce herself, and we'll be talking about something really cool today. So, Tabitha, can you introduce yourself before we get started?
Absolutely. So my name is Tabitha Westbrook, and I'm a licensed counselor, and I have an office in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and Flower Mound, Texas. And I'm really excited to be here today to talk about this and to talk about the retreat. It's literally my favorite thing that I do every single year is come to the retreat, and sometimes I'm graciously given the opportunity to speak, and I am really stoked.
Yes. Oh, well, I am very excited that you're going to be here again this year. I feel like, wow, what would be the retreat without Tabitha? She's always there. She has to be here. And speaking and sharing. So the retreat is in 2 weeks from tomorrow. I can't believe it. It's like crazy. I'm so excited. And so Tabitha this year will be talking about embodied beloved. And what does it mean? I'm like, oh, she's like, I'm going to be talking about this from a therapist perspective. What does it mean to live as embodied beloved? And I'm like, oh, wow. So we'll make this conversational today so I can learn right along with you and hear a little bit more about embodied beloved. What is that? What does that even mean?
So let's talk about what is it to be the beloved, right? And we're going to talk about that so much at the retreat. I think all of the speakers probably are, this is who God sees us as. Like, we are his beloved. We are loved and deeply cherished by him. And like, I think a lot of times people know that in their heads, right? So like, it's sort of like head knowledge, but is it really in our bodies and souls where we believe that about ourselves? And the concept of being embodied is really like that your whole self. So, being not only, part of your mind, but part of your physical body as well. And so when we put those two things together, this is like my whole self understanding that she is beloved, not just my mind, right? Like, we all have, I would say a lot of us have good systematic theology and we can say all the right things, but do we feel them? Do we walk in them? And it's a little harder than it seems. And so the big point of one of the things I'm going to be teaching is how to do that. What does that really look like? What is it really like? All of the pieces of it. And then we're going to figure it out together and do some experiential things where we get to experience being in our embodied selves. And I am really excited about that and really excited to see women take something that's just like a head fact and have it be a whole self fact, that you are beloved and your whole self can feel that.
I love that. I'm like, I am really much needing that because there is definitely, we can know, like you were saying, all the right things, but there's definitely times and can't let our feelings always be a factor, but you really just don't feel it in your body, like in your whole part of your being. Like, you're like, yeah, that's great, but how come I don't feel beloved? How come I don't feel like God loves me? So you be helping us kind of like learn how to process through that and like be able to connect our body to actually feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, so often when we are survivors of abuse, we have been told we are anything but beloved.
Oh,
In
yes.
fact, we're often told that God is mad at us for various reasons because who knows what? Abusers say a lot of things.
Mhm.
But, we really are beloved. And this is reclaiming the truth about us in so many ways. I'm often stunned at just how pervasive the lies of abuse can be.
Mhm.
Either the ones that were explicitly spoken over us or implicitly given to us, or the ones that we came to believe because of what was done to us. And, that's it just really messes with our self understanding, seeing ourselves the way that God sees us. And so we come to these conclusions that I'm not beloved, I'm broken,
Mhm.
and I don't even know sometimes where I sit with God, right? Like, I hear that a lot from survivors because of things that they have been through. And so I'm excited to say, hey, there's something different. There's another option here that we get to be beloved and live as if we are. Like, a million years ago, this is one of the first times I ever thought about this. I was in a women's Bible study, had a great small group who's our leader was delightful, but one lady there like sewed us all pillows one year that said live loved. And it's just a teeny tiny little pillow that I still have and cherish. And I thought about that. I'm like, what does it look like to fully live that way from my whole self? And that was a journey that I went on for my own self, being a survivor and trying to figure some of that out and wrestle through it. And it's something that I love to help women understand as well, is what does it look like to really, from all of you, from all of your parts, live loved. And that's what we're going to do together.
Oh, I'm dying to know. I'm like, I need this session. So you'll be doing some breakout sessions, correct? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm doing this session twice. Once
Yay.
before
So,
lunch and once after lunch. Well, lunch.
so
I can't even say lunch.
I've been there so many times, like I can get words out. I know what I'm trying to say. But I'm so excited about that you're doing this twice. So like people like it was so hard as survivors. You sit there and you're like, I only get to choose this session one time and like I have to choose between all of these sessions. And so this gives you opportunity to get the chance to be able to hear her. And so we're excited about that and that you'll be here talking about this. And so will this be like an interactive workshop or what will it be like?
It will be very much experiential. You'll get good information and you'll get skills that you can take with you, but we're actually going to do them together. And I think that that's like such a great way to really like have this experience because, you know, in our day-to-day lives, it's so easy. We're taking care of kids, we're taking care of pets, we're taking care of our homes, we're taking care of ourselves, hopefully. If you're not, then hopefully this retreat will help you also get there. But we're doing so much. We don't take time to step away and care for us in the deep ways that the Lord would want us to. You know, I love Psalm 23 where it talks about us lying down beside those still waters, right? There's such a tender and delightful picture of rest there. You know, the Lord in Psalm 4:8 talks about like, you know, resting in sleep and God taking care of the world. And, you know, there's so many verses where we're called into that rest. We're given Sabbath rest. And as survivors who feel the weight of the world so often, we don't enter into that rest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to give us just a little bit of time to enter into our bodies, our souls with the Lord and have a different experience than maybe we have in our day-to-day lives and just give us a chance to practice together. And so I'm hopeful that, you know, folks will come and take advantage of that opportunity to practice this thing together and love, give ourselves a little bit of love, right? You know, we love others as we are loved. And so when we are able to feel the love of the Lord and how he sees us, then that is what pours forth to the people in our lives.
And that I think as a mother, like if people who have children in their home or just in general, as a mother or just as a friend, like that's huge because when you feel loved and can operate a place of love, it's a lot easier to give your children love, especially when they've been through trauma and they may not always show that they love you very well. And you need that to be able to understand that and have these tools. I feel like as a single mom, it's very hard. And I know Tabitha, you can relate to this too. It's just that you don't have, I mean, hey, when you're abused, you have somebody standing over you telling you how terrible you are all the time. So you get out and you're like, wow, I'm at peace. I don't have anybody ripping me to shreds every day. This is great. But deep inside, you don't have anybody there. Like you desire sometimes somebody just to speak truth and to feel those things. So I feel like having these tools are really, really important as a single mom or wherever you are, is to know how to receive your love from the Lord and know who you are in the Lord, because this is where a lot of women start to make mistakes because they start to be desperate deep inside. They've maybe got freedom and they're desperate to feel loved and to feel belong and can end up making choices that they regret in order to receive love or getting in relationships that they shouldn't just because somebody is showering them with love and it feels so good. And so I just think this is a really important topic, and what you're doing is so important for women to attend so they can learn to live in this and to walk in this. It's so important.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we have had so many negative things spoken over us, even if we are out of that toxic space, sometimes we make vows with them. You know, so these curses are spoken over us where, you know, our abusers are saying, you are this, you are that, none of which lines up with what God says about us if you're, you know, if you're really paying attention. But then we drink it in and we go, oh, but I am. And so then we make a vow with that curse over us. Like, oh, yes, I am this. I am damaged goods. I am broken. I am unlovable. I am unwanted. I am lazy. I am terrible. And so then we become our own abusers afterward. And so part of healing is going, wait a second, what am I agreeing with here? That does not sound like Jesus. You know, and one of the things I love, and this is just something I've thought so much about lately, is connection before correction. And it is the Lord's kindness that brings us to repentance. And he connects with us. If you look at every person like that, he was before, all the people he healed, all of the people he set free, all of the people whose sins he forgave, like in the New Testament, he connected with them before he said, and go and sin no more. Right. He entered in with them, and he enters in with us. And so, when we are entering in with him, it naturally changes us. And we stop going, wait a second, this is what I believe. And I think a lot of times about like the book of Ephesians, I just love how that book is laid out. The first thing God tells us in Ephesians, in like the first half of the book, is who we are in him. That's where he starts. And then he tells us what we should be doing because of who we are. He starts with who we are. And if we don't really live from that space, it's really hard to do the thing, right? And when we are speaking lies over ourselves that people have said to us, we're going to stay stuck. And so part of this is really learning, I don't have to believe that anymore. I can trust what God says about me, and I can trust who he is and how loved I am. And from that space, that's where my choices might look a little different. So if I'm struggling and I'm feeling that need for love, and I'm trying to find it in a relationship that maybe isn't the best one for me, I'm going to go, wait a second, I'm worthy of so much more. And I've had so many women who have been like, they've gone on, they've done some of this work and they've gone on a date and they were like, oh, there were so many red flags that I was like, nope. And instead of going, why, yes, I can fix him, they went, see you later, good luck, Godspeed, hope you find your person. And then they blocked him. And I was just like, yes, that is living from being beloved, knowing that you don't have to enter into dark places and difficult things to get a sense of love. You already have that from our Savior. And then anything else is just icing.
Wow. Yes. No, I love that. I'm like, wow, I'm soaking all this in. I needed to hear all of this today and be reminded of hope everybody else is here is reminded as well of who they are and that God holds so much love to give to them. And I'm excited to be able to process through some of these things at the retreat. And it takes a long time to undo these vows. So no matter where you are in your healing phase, even if you did not enter in, you're coming to this as a people helper, I highly recommend this session to know how to work with women and help them package some of these lies, because it's really hard and those wounds cut very deeply. When I can make this very specific of like women a lot of times being told they're not a very good Christian, or they're not a very good mother, or they're not a very good wife, and they just begin to internalize, I'm not good. And so it's learning to see that God delights in us, as at least Fitzpatrick has talked about a lot, and see the Father's love for us. And like I remember her saying that in one of her sessions, and that God delights in me and takes pleasure in me. And you're just like, whoa, I'm having a hard time receiving that one. Like you're saying it, but my body is like, yeah. And so I'm excited about seeing things come together at this retreat where we're hearing all these things. It stirs up things in our body. We hear these truths and our body is like, oh, what's happening in here? Why is my body saying, no, you may love me, but you don't delight in me? And being able to get into your session and get all these tools and to come back home as a way to be able to live out our identity as beloved, and how much that's going to change us and those around us as we're able to then give them that love as well.
Absolutely. Our God is not a rock concert God. And when I say that, I mean like, like the rock concert people who are like, I love you, good night. And you're like, you don't love me. You don't even know me, whatever. There's like a whole sea of heads in here. Like that is not God. He not only loves us, but he likes us. Like he likes us. And I think, and it's not like this compulsory love, like, yeah, rock concert God guy. He like knows the hairs on your head. He knows every intimate thing about you. He chose you. He died for you. You were on his mind on that cross. And he adores you. He's crazy about you. And when we really, really get that in every, like in us, not just in my head, but in my body, my life radically changes. My strength increases. I really understand things differently, and I see me differently. And that's part of the healing process.
Wow. Well, that was a amazing statement there. I'm like, I'm so excited. I can't wait. And also I'm getting very excited because like we were saying at the beginning of our conversation here, y'all, tomorrow is 2 weeks away till this retreat starts. Like, I cannot believe that. And sadly, the registration ends on Friday. Do y'all know about where we are? How many women are coming? Like, I'm so blown away. We're almost at 450 women coming to this retreat, which means we're almost at capacity. So if you're wanting to come, I would recommend signing up quickly. One, because registration ends, and two, we are getting very close to capacity. So I would highly recommend. It's going to be amazing. I have not been to a retreat. Well, the first one was pretty large that I went to, but was not quite this large. So I'm excited. I feel like the more people that are there, it's just the more opportunity for God to show up and work in so many ways. There's more voices crying out to Jesus, more voices praying and singing and worshiping him. And I'm excited to see what he does. And that's exciting for you too, that's coming to this retreat of so many people. Out of 450 people, there's probably somebody that has a similar circumstance as you and is walking similar things. And we have shepherd groups. I recommend those if you're coming and you're able to sign up and get into a group that is specific of somebody walking the same struggle as you are, and to register for the retreat and come. And if you can't come, we will have post-conference retreat access that you can purchase. And so you'll be able to hopefully be able to hear Tabitha that way as well, and get access to these amazing sessions. And we're excited to see what God does. We're praying into this, praying for you, and just really thrilled. So Tabitha, I like to close out. What would you like to say? One, to the woman coming, and two, to the woman maybe that's still considering.
So to both, I will say healing happens in community. This, you hear 450 and you're like, holy Toledo, that's a lot of humans. I will tell you, it feels smaller, right? Because first of all, you walk into this room and these are people who get it. I've heard this over and over and over from retreat attendees. These are the people who get it. Like, I don't have to explain myself. You don't have to like wonder, are they going to understand me? Like, they do. From the organizers to all of the speakers to every attendee, we get it. And so being in such a safe, wonderful place is such a delight. And the other thing is, man, healing does happen in community. I have seen so many women who were like, I came in knowing nobody and left with a whole tribe, and people stay connected after the retreat, which is such a delight. And so I think, if you're like, I don't know anybody, I'm a little nervous to come by myself, come. First of all, come say hey to me. I will say hi to you. You know me now. Come say hey to me. Right. And so, if you're wondering, you don't know anybody, well, now you know me, come say hello. And, but you're going to make other friends too. Those shepherding groups are amazing. I heard so many good things about them last year. You're going to meet the most incredible people in this space. So for everybody who's coming, I cannot wait to see you. For those of you who are like, man, should I hit submit on that order and my registration? Yes, absolutely. You should come. Don't let anything tear you away. The enemy likes to keep us isolated. That is how he keeps us stuck. And this is a way to, I will say it the way that Dan Allender says it, put your foot on the neck of evil and walk in your victory and come and get goodness, God's goodness in that place with your sisters in Christ who understand it in such deep ways.
Yes. Well, that was amazing. So come, we're excited. I hope to see you all there, and we're looking forward to meeting you and seeing what God does in your life there. And we will see you next time I'll be live. It'll be at the retreat. So thank you, Tabitha, for closing out our interviews here for the retreat speakers. And you did it so well, and we appreciate you. And so we'll see everybody soon.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait to see everybody.
Yes. Bye.